All right, I'll kick it off with a little gratitude here. I want to start by thanking our fans. Their support, their energy that they gave this year was incredible. I take my little walk before each game, and the amount of advice that I get is incredible. The big part of that too is to win 5 of the 7 games at home, so our fan base sees the progress that we're making. They can feel that energy. They can see these new players here make an impact on our game is a really special thing. I want to thank our players. The time, the energy that they put into it was outstanding this year. There was a lot of change to start the season. They really poured into each other and invested in each other. I can't tell you how many times I got stories of, the D line was eating dinner over here, the O line was over here eating dinner and spending time with each other. You could feel that. And the guys made plays. I was really excited for Montez and the impact that he had. DJ, Jalen, guys are stepping up and making plays that are going to help us take the next step. We're really, really grateful for them. I do want to single out Mercedes Lewis. That's a special human being, and I know he's played a lot in this league, but was a really key addition to our staff. Our team in our locker room, the leadership through some of the hard times, the things that he said to pull guys together was outstanding, and I'm really, really thankful for him. Um, Coach Flus, his leadership through hard times. We had some adversity early in the season, in the middle of the season. His ability to stand strong and keep the team together was incredible. His ability to adapt and adjust as we went along. He had sudden change in terms of his role, and I thought we benefited from that. I thought we got better from that point, and I'm really happy for him. Our staff, we take surveys from our players just to see, how each department does, and the feedback that we got on our strength conditioning staff, our player performance, our trainers, our clinicians was incredible. We have an elite, a rare group there, and those players feel that, and they feel like they're being put in the best position to be successful on and off the field. And then want to take some time, for George and Kevin. Their leadership through the year was incredible. They support our vision. One of the things that I'll never forget is reflecting in the middle of the year on a trade that didn't go well for me. I was bummed about it. Took ownership of it. I always have a decision log that I go through and talk about, what I can do better. And we met on that, and they both supported me in terms of saying, keep shooting your shot, man. If you put your log together, you're hitting those boxes that it feels right, and it's going to help our team. Keep shooting your shot. And for a decision maker to have that type of support is incredible. The last 2 to 3 days we spent really reflecting, gathering information on the year. Really Monday from I think it was 7 in the morning to about 4:30 in the evening. We did exit meetings with every single player on our team. We want to know what we're doing well, what we're struggling, what can be corrected, anything from team travel to coaching to all of those parts. And we spent time together on Tuesday to go over the year. Again, what went well, what didn't go well, and gather that information. I came away with really 2 feelings. One was there was a little disappointment. I wish there's some games that we finished. We were ahead. I wish we finished those games and really took this thing to a higher level than where we are now. Because at the end of the day, our goal is to win championships and to win the division, and we came up short of that. However, I also was really proud of the steps that we did take. If you really look back and really look at the starting point and then look at where we are today, you can't tell me you don't see the difference. We're making strong progress. We're doing it the right way. It's built on a solid foundation. It's not a house of cards. It's going to continue to go up as we continue to have continuity with our roster, and that makes the future really bright for us. We have flexibility with our cap space. We have a really unique draft situation that's going to allow us to continue to get better. And like I said, most importantly, the continuity part is going to be critical because when you bring all those things together, we're just going to keep climbing. In terms of our process, I know there's going to be a lot of questions on Justin. There's going to be a lot of questions on the draft process. We are in information gathering mode right now. We are going to turn every stone to make sure that we are going to make a sound decision for our organization. I did think Justin got better. I think he can lead this team. But at the same time, there's a unique situation where I have to look and our staff has to look at everything. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And that's the same with free agency. We're going to, look at our free agents, get with my personnel staff, do evaluations, and again, make the best decision we can for this organization to take the next step. But I'm really proud of where we are and where we're going. Came up a little bit short of our goals this year, but I have no doubt in where this team is going.
All right. Good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. Just reflecting on the year, really just the gratitude piece of this is want to thank Ryan. Ryan and I confer and talk every day about roster, about football decisions, and and through the adversities this year, we got closer. And it's our year two together, and our bond is even stronger than it was after the first year. And I just want to really just publicly appreciate, and say, thank you to him. Same thing with George, and Kevin. Just a remarkable, being able to get wisdom, discernment on decisions, to have a sounding board there. We meet with those guys once a week, but also the door is always open, and you can always talk to them. And that's something that we can always use and utilize, and we do. So that's big. And then really for me, just thanking the players. They put everything they have into this season, and we came out, the last part, really starting to play really good football, and that was because of their hard work. The investment they had, they improved and they grew as individual players, and we grew as a football team, and you could certainly feel that during the year. And it really doesn't happen unless we do the piece before that, and that's the building of relationships. And I talk to the local media that's sitting in front of me. I see you guys, a couple of times a week, obviously, and you guys know this, that we spent so much time on that, and that was the foundation and the glue that holds teams together. And we did not cut any corners when it came to that. And we spent time, took attention on that, and that was a big part of us being able to handle the adversities throughout. And the foundation really is built and established through the players we select. And Ryan does a wonderful job of that, and his staff does a wonderful job. And we're always going to select guys, and you can feel that love football. And when you have that piece, the selection piece of those they play with great energy. They're great teammates. They care about their game. They want to do skill improvement. Everything that it takes to be a great football team, they do that. The guys that love football. So that's going to be a big point going forward. And so as we look at this whole season, we're playing the long game on this. There's a long game to this, right? So the first year, we draft all these wonderful players, right? You think about, Kyler Gordon, Mako Shark, right? Brisker, Sandman's in there, all those guys, right? Braxton, those guys are a foundational piece for us, right? And those guys all played, right? All those rookies played for us and did a wonderful job. And then the second year, same thing, draft class, right? Really strong draft class in the second year, leading with our right tackle, obviously the 2D tackles inside. They played a lot of football this year. Our two corners that were young that play a lot of ball for us, our receiver, young playing in there, and then to me, it's those are the foundational pieces. And then we had a unique year last year because we were able to have all this capital to be able to, the money, the funds to be able to now take this huge free agency class and also put those classes together with the draft classes. So to me, that was the magic. And I want to thank the players for that, because that's 2 draft classes and then that big free agency class to be able to really form what we now call the Chicago Bears. And there's some dynamic players in that free agency class that Ryan did an awesome job with. You talk about, Maine and TJ and, Justin Jones and, D-Walk and, the trades, of course, with Sweat, and DJ. Those are dynamic players. And so we're so excited about that future of bringing those guys together. But that also took time to be able to do that. And the guys really did a great job of coming together. And I want to thank those guys for that. And then you talk about the guys that were here, right? Justin Fields was here, right? And then did a wonderful job of really working himself into that position as a leader. Cole Kmet as well. Cairo was here when we got here. awesome job, him setting the franchise record. So and then you talk about the two DBs, right? Bojack and then Jalen. They did a wonderful job, and what he did this year was great as well. So some things that I'm proud of this year in terms of just statistically, the rush offense continued to really shine. Was fourth in the league, the last 8 games. So the last back half of the season, and then the interceptions. The interceptions were down in the last half of the season. That was really good to see. That's something we emphasized with Justin. That and the sack total, and he did a really good job of doing that. Defensively, the last 8 games, first in the league in scoring defense. That was really good to see the guys come together that way. We were fifth in the league in rush defense the last 8. The quarterback rating, the QBR, we were first in the league. So that's really proud of that. And then also the interceptions. The interception and the ball hawking that our defense displayed was really good. And then what's the most important stat is the turnover margin. How did we go 5-3 in the last 8? It was really the turnover margin, right? It's plus 12, right? That's second in the NFL during that time. So those are all winning ways. I talked to the players about that, and that's what they are. And that's proof and progress that we've done a good job there. And then just some individual performances. Of course, Cairo had a great year. DJ Cole, TJ Edwards, Maine, all those guys had great years. Jalen, so there's a lot of guys that had really good performances there to really help us going into the future. So with the meetings that we had with the players, there's some great information there to really move our programs in the right direction. And those people, our staff members take that, and do a great job with that information to improve their areas. And the players know that because the proof's in the pudding, right? Last year we made a lot of adjustments in building to really help our players to perform at the highest level on Sunday. And we will implement those changes that we have going forward too, once we discuss that as we go. And then, then we talked about the staff. We talked about, how do we make our football team better? And as you guys saw this morning, we made the changes, right? We made some adjustments to the offensive staff, and we felt that, when you looked at the growth and the development and the improvement, it wasn't where it needed to be, and that's why those changes were made. And we're looking forward to looking at and talking to and hiring a new offensive coordinator that's going to improve our team. That's going to do a great job, improving and being aggressive and doing the things that it takes to win football games. And we're looking forward to that for sure. And then obviously we have to hire another position on the defense, right? The defensive coordinator position. We're also excited about that opportunity. And both things are highly coveted positions, right? Our phones have been blowing up, with people trying to contact us in, different ways and all those things. And again, we'll go through that process as we go, but we're certainly excited about that. I do feel really good about the defensive staff, that we have currently. Those guys have all been retained. You guys know that we've retained. Simo's been retained. Dre has been retained, and Luke Steckel and Cable have also been retained. And those guys are wonderful coaches. Have done a really good job in the growth and development of their positions, and so we're certainly excited about that for sure. And I'll just piggyback off what Ryan said about Justin. We love where Justin is right now. He's done a good job growing, in the interceptions. Keeping those down. The sack totals. He's doing a good job with that. Having his eyes down the field. He's done a wonderful job with that. Being able to deliver some strikes down there, and he'll continue to grow as we grow this football team. With that, we'll open up to questions.
Ryan, you were in a situation last year where you had Justin and you had the number 1 pick. What's different this year now that you've had an extra year to evaluate Justin, and the quarterback prospect class might be a little bit different this year?
Yeah, I'll actually go back to last year, and I got to stay open-minded about it, but I really, not to use the same quote, but when I say I need to be blown away, it's the same setup because, seeing the things that Justin did this year, his ability to make plays, Coach talked about some of those improvements, keeping his eyes down the field, taking less sacks. See a lot of growth there where he can continue to get better. So I'll have the same mindset. Someone needs to really show that they, can. And it's not just the film. Like, I need the person. Like, there's a whole process here that we have to figure out. But what we're gonna do is do what's best for the organization. I'm sure there's going to be, similar situations in terms of the trade back, and I got to weigh all of those things to see what's going to help our team take the next step.
You guys, when you have this offensive coordinator opening, what are the traits and the priorities that you guys will place on the next offensive coordinator here as you try to fill that position?
Yeah, I think that's, obviously you want to have somebody that's a great teacher. I think that's important because, he has to coach the coaches to coach the position. And I think that's the number one trait of any great coach. You have to be able to have the innovation, to really look at the players that you have and be able to help enhance and put those guys in position to succeed and to get explosives and to move the ball down the field. So that right there, I think, is the most important thing. The teacher part of it, and then the innovation part of it, and the creativity, I think, is going to be the biggest part.
How far along are you in
The changes to the staff and moving on from several offensive coaches, this team has 10 wins in 2 years. And I apologize for the awkward nature of this question. What made you want to stay with Matt Eberflus and knowing that that's the direction you want to go at head coach?
Yeah, everything I talked about in the beginning, just in terms of his leadership and stability, I really think that the head coach needs to be able to captain the ship when the seas are when the seas have storms, and really keep everything settled. When you go through hard times and he can keep everyone together, to me that's like the critical piece in a market like this. Like, you have to be strong. I mean, if he's jumping off the boat and everyone else starts jumping off the boat, it's a hot mess. So the stability was a big piece of it. The detail that he coaches with, taking some of the mistakes from the game, bringing them to practice, and making sure that we're doing things the right way. I saw a lot of progress in that. There's a reason why we went from 3 to 7 wins. The player aspect of it is important, but also the detail and bringing the team together and sticking through those hard times allowed us to push through. And you saw a lot of those wins happening towards the back end of the season. If it's not for him, I really don't think that's the case. I think it starts to crumble. Everyone starts to do their own thing. So to me, that was a critical piece in this.
Ryan, did you make that decision before the end of the season, yesterday, somewhere in between?
Yeah, like, all of our jobs is to collect information throughout the entire season. That's on players, staff, support staff, everybody. But what I pride myself on, and really pride our whole organization on, is we take this step after the season to let the dust settle, let the emotions get out, and make the most sound decision that you possibly can make. So that's what we did over the last few days. It's just making sure we settle down, look at the big picture, and make sure that we're going in the right direction.
You have complete autonomy on that too. Is that totally your choice?
Yeah, so it's my call, and what I do is I get with George and Kevin and give my input. And the nice thing about this, we were all on the same page.
To your point on there being storms and Matt guiding them through the storms, some storms are avoidable. What of the issues that you guys had this year tells you that there will be lessons learned and improvement from that, as opposed to those issues recurring next season?
Yeah, and it really over the last few days, but also in the season too, we take a lot of pride in the after action setup, where we look back and we look at the issues that we had, what's avoidable, what's not. If it's avoidable, what can we do to make sure that we stay away from those storms, so that we continue to improve and not repeat the same mistakes that we had. So I think we'll continue to do that. We've done that a lot this year, so I feel confident in that.
Ryan, what did CJ Stroud do this season that maybe would have been hard to foresee last spring?
I'm not gonna get into other teams' players, but really happy with his progress that he's made, and he's done a nice job for them.
Matt, when you're doing the offensive coordinator search, how do you find somebody who's both equipped to get the most out of Justin Fields, but is also equipped to develop a number 1 draft pick or a rookie quarterback of you guys?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I think the offensive coordinator, and really any good coach, knows how to adjust and adapt to the play caller or the signal or the quarterback, because you have injury, right? You have changes. And you see it during the course of the year. How many backups played this year? You got to adjust your scheme to fit the quarterback, and the skill set that you have available to you, be that quarterback or receiver or tight end. And the adaptability to be able to do that during the course of a season is huge. So that would be the thing.
Does Justin's unique skill set add any layer to that of limitation? I don't know if it's limitation or just a challenge, because his skill set is just different than a lot of other quarterbacks.
I don't think so.
Matt, what went into your decision to move on from Luke Getzey? You mentioned development, but can you expand on that?
Yeah, just the growth and development of the offense. To me, needed to be better than what it was. And to me, you look at the passing game. Certainly, that's one aspect of it, and that's where it is. And we decided to move on from that. And again, that was my decision. Obviously, conferring with Ryan and George and Kevin, and we made a decision this morning.
Matt, you've now had 7 coaches this season either dismissed or depart the building. How do you account for those missteps?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I understand the question. I think when you're running an organization, a team, a football team, and you're the head of that, you got to make tough decisions, and those tough decisions were made, and we feel it's in the best interest for the Bears to do that.
You obviously have to find replacements. What mistakes can you avoid making a second time reassembling a staff here?
Yeah, just taking all the information, do a great job with discerning, have some wisdom there, conferring with Ryan and the rest of the staff that's here, and make a good decision.
Ryan,
How does the reset at offensive coordinator at Ryan impact your view of Justin and his future here?
Yeah, I got a lot of faith in the process that we're going to get kicked off in terms of finding the right fit. And we talked about it a little bit, but the ability to be adaptable to the talent that you have is critical. I think Matt hit it. We saw it across the league. There's some teams that actually got better with a lot of changes. If you don't have the ability to adapt and adjust to the talent that you have at that position, it makes it really hard. So that's going to be a part of our process.
Ryan, as you look at the quarterback decision you have to make, is there a world where you can draft a quarterback with the number 1 pick and keep Justin? Or are you of the belief that that's an untenable situation and it would have to be one or the other?
Yeah, so my brain has gone crazy all year just thinking about just the million different scenarios, and I'm sure that's one of them. I'll just stay very wide open with the different paths that we can go, and as we collect information, if that closes some of those pathways down, then we'll do that, move to the other ones, but I'm going to be wide open about this.
Ryan, if you weren't blown away by CJ Stroud, what is your standard that's going to allow you to find a quarterback who might be better than Justin Fields? I know you don't want to talk about the evaluation, but the evaluation of Stroud that you had is key because it gives fans an indication of just how good you are at evaluating quarterbacks in an important decision.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of it. There's the player aspect in terms of the human being and the leadership and their maturity, and that's the human part. And then there's the tape, and we'll go through the tape and we'll look at processing and accuracy and all of those things to make sure they're on point to feel the best. There are situations where you go to and you develop, and you may overcome some of the shortcomings that you had in college. There's situations where it's the group around you that elevates you, and the other thing too is I would also have a little you got the sample size to be blown away in the NFL, you got to stack year after year after year. So historically, we'll look at those quarterbacks that have been able to be productive for a long period of time and kind of mirror that and compare that to some of the guys in the draft.
Did you feel you misevaluated Stroud, and did that teach you anything about the evaluation process that he was so good this year with a team that's very similar to what you have?
Yeah, no, I don't think so at all. I think you have to take him what's best for your team. So when you look at that situation and how it ended up playing out, to have DJ, to have Darnell, to have Stevenson, to have the first overall and the second next year, I feel like that's the best for our organization.
Matt, if you guys stick with Justin, what are the challenges that you perceive of him having to learn his third offense in 4 years?
Justin's very smart, very intelligent. He's able to adapt and adjust, so I don't see that being a problem at all.
Ryan, you mentioned being disappointed in some of the games that got away. When you look at Denver, Detroit, Cleveland, how did you evaluate the coaching accountability in those 3 losses in particular?
Yeah, I kind of looked at it big picture. My biggest thing is just putting teams away when you got them on the ropes. The killer instinct just to knock it out, to put the game away. That was kind of my reflection of it, and that's what matters to me. So again, when we go through this process, we'll look at that in terms of just being able to put teams away. There's a balance between cautious and aggression that you have to have a feel for that. So that's a big part.
Ryan, how much do you take into account, or should you take into account the seemingly endless support for Justin Fields that we perceive to exist in the locker room just from talking to players? Do you take that into account, or do you have to separate that part?
I have to separate it a little bit, but I absolutely love it. I mean, when you talk about building a team, I want that type of support in our locker room. I want those guys to, when they go take the field, I want them to believe in the player that they have at that quarterback position. I want them to believe into the person to the right and to their left. So I absolutely love that. With any decision, I got to take the emotion out of it and look at the whole deal there.
Brian, this won't be your first time going on a deep dive of a quarterback draft class. What do you envision as the most important parts of this next 10 to 12 week process as you do your homework on the entire class, and what have you learned through experience about how you vet that group?
The person. That's the biggest part. I got a lot of confidence in our ability to see talent on the field. The human being, we got to figure out. This, especially be a quarterback in this city, you got to have it right. You got to have toughness to you. You got to have mental toughness. You got to be able to block things out. So really, I got to find out about the human beings.
What are the key components of that? What will you do to learn wiring of all these guys?
Spend time, reach out to the people that spent a lot of time with them over the years. And then I always feel like if you can sit down and look someone in the eyes and spend time with them, ask them the right questions, you can learn a lot.
Ryan,
Don't you need to have some clarity about your quarterback plans as you talk to offensive coordinator candidates? Because it would seem to change possibly the group of candidates that you could get, the tone of those interviews, and those are very different tasks between coming in to work with Justin versus helping you guys pick the right quarterback at number one.
No, I love it because you have to, what are you going to do for these 4 different types of quarterbacks? I want to hear that, and I think it's really important to see the versatility and the adaptability in their teaching and the way they implement a plan, scheme, adjust. I think it actually makes it pretty dynamic in terms of the interview process.
Matt, when it comes to defense, are you gonna call plays next year?
Yeah, so we're still looking at that. You know, I think it's something I've stated I'd love to do. But as we talk to these candidates, you know, we're gonna keep everything open right now, but certainly welcome that again for next year. But we'll see as we go through this process.
The defensive coordinator is an attractive position. If you have your defensive staff already set, and if the person may or may not call plays, how is that attractive?
Yeah, I think they're both offense and defensive coordinator positions are very attractive based on the personnel we have and based on the rise of this team. And you can certainly see that, the progress. And again, as we visit with these guys, we'll be able to see that. They'll be able to see that. They know that. You know, we're always aware of other people's rosters and where the vision for the team's going. And ours is definitely in a positive way that team coaches want to come here and coach.
Given the history of this team, the last decade or so, where there have been coaches who have inherited quarterbacks and quarterbacks who have gone on to coaching staffs that did not draft them, how do you break that cycle this time around?
Yeah, when you look at the interview process, just bringing in the right people, like I said, that can adapt and adjust and put players in the best position to be successful. And then again, getting the players right in terms of the skill and the leadership and the person, their character, getting that right. If you get those right, I'm not worried about, you know, the history of different things. It's a different situation. This is, to me, this roster's built on really solid ground, so it's a little bit different of a situation in my mind.
Ryan, as you guys start to fill out the various positions, a bunch of them on offense, do you have any concern that outside perception could be Matt's gonna be entering a win now in 2024 situation?
No, I don't. I think they're going to look at the roster and see there's a lot of young, talented players on the roster that they really want to work with. It's going to elevate that platform and elevate our team to be a championship caliber team. And when you win championships, there's a lot of real cool things that happen with everybody. So I think they're going to see that as a good opportunity.
Ryan,
Even if your evaluation has you leaning towards staying with Justin, could a team propose a trade deal that blows you away and still cause you to move on from him?
It's a tough hypothetical. I mean, for what happened last year, I didn't see it to be, you know, for it to turn out the way that it did. So again, I got to stay open-minded. But it's hard to kind of work that hypothetical in my mind, come up with like a fake trade that would do that. It's tough. But again, I got to stay open-minded.
Matt,
Ryan,
will you insist that the new offensive coordinator keeps Chris Morgan and Jim Dre, the two
Yeah,
assistants?
like I said, Chris Morgan and Dre are on staff.
Yeah, but will you insist that, is Chris Morgan gonna be here next season no matter who you hire at offensive coordinator, or will that coordinator?
Yes, he is. He's being retained. Yes, sir.
Ryan, did you talk to Jim Harbaugh or his agent, and if not, why not?
No, I haven't talked to Jim.
Brian, why is
He's
this
the coach of Michigan.
Right, did you, he was not a consideration, you did not see him as a,
No, like I said, we're going with Matt, and I gave the reasons why. To go through, I didn't go talk to anybody.
Brian, where do you still wanna see growth from Justin?
Still see growth, the 2 minute part. That's a critical part that we gotta continue to get better at, because that's where you win games, and more games, close games. And a lot of times when you look at the playoffs and championships, that's where you close it out. So that's one big part.
Ryan, what are your next steps in re-engaging with Jalen Johnson's camp as far as negotiations?
Yeah, we have really good communication. The big thing was just kind of take a break here after the season, and then we'll start talks again. I feel really good about that situation. Jalen's not going to go anywhere, and we'll work through to get something done.
Ryan, do you see next year as kind of, we're hearing a lot about navigating rocky waters and things like that, but
Yep.
next year is kind of like the standards are a little higher?
Absolutely.
Do we see next year as the standards actually getting higher?
Yeah. First of all, our standard is always going to be to win the division, and we're starting to chip at that. That's what made that last game disappointing too, because I thought there was an opportunity to kind of split that in half and take 3 there. That's always going to be our expectations, but this team is ready to take the next step, and we always have high expectations of what we should be.
Brian, you mentioned how tough it is to be the quarterback of the Chicago Bears with everything that goes with it.
Yeah.
Why do you think that? And do you think, just from your experience around the league, this is the toughest place to be the quarterback?
Yeah, listen, anytime you have a passionate fan base, there's pressure to be the best and to get over the hump and carry that team to the next level. I think this fan base is dying for that guy to do that, and yeah, that's part of living in the big city. It's part of being a head coach in a big city and a GM in a big city. You got to have thick skin and be able to block out the noise and go to work regardless of the ups and downs. And your family's got to do that too. But you want people that want to take on that challenge.
Now, when you hired Luke Gessie, you said it was because you had studied offensive systems and that was the toughest one to defend. But is there a system that you wanna go to now that's the same or different? What sort of style do you want in a new offense?
Yeah, I think we have an open mind. You have an open mind and listen to these candidates and do a really good job of pulling that information and gathering it, and then also making good decisions to who we hire. There's a lot of different ways to do it, and I'm excited about getting that going.
What do you want to be good at offensively?
It depends on who's available for the skill, right? Who's available for that game. I think you have to do multiple that way, and who you plan. Is the team really good at stopping the run? And you're going to have to find other ways to move the ball down the field. And I think that's what we're talking about, the multiplicity of being able to bend and adjust, not only before the game but also in game.
Was that the sense that you got from players during exit interviews? I know we heard from DJ the other day, and he brought up the idea, are we gonna be a team that's built on explosives, or are we gonna be a team that runs the ball to control the clock? Did you get a sense from players that they weren't sure what the identity is offensively, and ultimately, are you hoping to find that?
Yeah, I think you have to have identity for sure, but you also have to be able to adjust. You have to be able to stand on something. Run of the football is one of them. And I also think that, but being adjustable and adaptable is another one. Getting the explosives, which I think was referred to there, is obviously how you score points. That's how you score points, and again, we're gonna have to continue to grow that way.
Ryan, do you think it's
At the beginning of this
better?
season-
Go ahead, Herb, go ahead.
At the beginning of this season, I asked you how many holes on the roster, what percentage of the holes on the roster you thought you had filled, and I appreciate that you gave me an answer of 75, 80. I didn't disagree with you, but you also said that you'd have to go through the season and evaluate the hits and misses. Now that that's over, you head into this offseason, what percentage of holes do you feel remain to fill in this offseason?
I want to go through the tape from the whole year and get with my front office on that, but it's getting smaller, which is good.
Do you think it's better to have the number 1 pick this year than last year in terms of value? Do you think that is gonna be worth more if you were to trade it, that you would get more in return for it than you did last year?
It's hard to tell right now. You've all been a part of the draft coverage. Things change quick. Some of the mocks that you see now are probably not right? So that changes the whole dynamic. So tough to answer that question, but I think the first pick's always gonna be in demand. How much, I don't know.
Ryan, did Braxton Jones solidify himself at left tackle, or is that something where you're kind of not sure and could be like a high round pick as an upgrade? Where do you stand on him?
Yeah, I thought Braxton did a good job. Obviously, he got a little dinged up. That was the first time he's missed a game. He did a nice job. He continues to get better. I was proud of the progress. He spent a lot of time with Olin this offseason, just working on his anchor, and I thought you saw improvements there. I do believe he's a starting left tackle, but if it comes down to a situation where we increase competition, then that's what's best for us, then we'll do that. But I'm proud of Braxton.
Last year, the presumptive number one at this time, let's not go number one because of some off the field stuff. Does that affect your timeline this year in terms of when you need to be sure about something? You just said, the draft order or the draft picks change, you see everything shift. Last year was a pretty dramatic shift. What did you learn from that?
Do your research. Again, get the human being right and the character. That's always going to be important. I feel like that's emphasized every year, though.
Matt, you mentioned that your phone has been blowing up as it relates to the offense coordinator position. How far along are you in having a kind of a crystallized vision of people you want to talk to and contact, and knowing that this won't be the only offense coordinator position open in the league? What's the level of urgency?
Yeah, always a sense of urgency. I think that's important to gather the information, and we're going to get started right away. So we're just starting the process right now. Of course, we've been, it's important that we do a really good job of, gathering the information, but also, taking our time to be able to digest that and make a great decision. So we're going to do that.
Do you have a list currently, a short list that you're working off of to start?
Of course, yep.
Ryan, what about Mooney? Where do you stand on Mooney? He was one of the guys you were really high on when you came in. The production has dipped a lot. He's gonna be a free agent now.
Yeah. Again, we'll evaluate the whole year and be, like I told a lot of the guys that are free agents, we'll be in contact with them in terms of our direction. There's different buckets. There's guys that are gonna have to go test the market and kind of see what's out there for them, and maybe they circle back. But yeah, I know, Mooney wishes he played a little bit better this year and things went better for him and made some more connections. But I know he's gonna bounce back and have a really good career.
How much of that do you put on his dip in production? How much of that do you put on the coaching staff not maximizing the talent of a player that was a 1,000-yard receiver before you got here?
Yeah, you gotta look at everything. But I also think there's an impact. I think Cole's targets went up and you got DJ that gets added. He was missed early, was it training camp OTAs, just coming back from the injury. So there's a lot of factors in there.
Ryan, last year you said the measurement of success, I think, with more wins, I think was what you said. Is there a more definite or defined measurement of success for 2024?
Other than our annual goal, which is to win the division and be a championship caliber team, that's what we're gonna aim for. So but yes, win more.
Matt, when you're looking at defensive coordinator, you obviously have a foundation on defense already set. So what are you looking for someone who will complement what you set out there, but also you and your role in that?
Yeah, really looking just to enhance the staff, and it's got to be a good fit. But you're looking for an all-star staff on both sides, and dynamic guys that can take from the classroom to the drill work, and then really put that on the field. And that position is going to be tying that together, of course, and working with me to do that as well. But it's important that we find the right person that has, great character, that's a great motivator, and can be in front of the room when I'm not in there, when I'm with the offense or preparing for, something else and working in other areas of the building. But that's an important piece to it.
Would you consider promoting from within to fill the defensive coordinator spot?
Yeah, I think we're looking at everything right now. We're considering everything, and we'll see where everything goes as we gather the information for sure.
Ryan, to Mark's question, is that your expectation for this coming season, that you guys will be a championship contending team? I don't think you could have probably said that in year one or even this year, but is that what's expected this season?
I did say that in each year that's the goal.
Ryan, you guys talk about playing the long game and doing these things the right way, but also raising the standard. I'm just curious, if you have a rookie quarterback in here next year, does that change the calculus with the win-loss record standards, knowing, okay, we got a new guy in here?
Yeah, if that's the direction that it plays out, I think there's enough support to continue to rise up and have a young quarterback. Obviously, when you look at bringing in the staff, that development plan is going to be critical.
I know it's one game on Sunday, but you know how important that Green Bay rivalry is to this building. How did you square what happened on Sunday with the progress that you guys have made in the previous 2 months?
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I mean, that's why I wanted to win that game so bad, because you kind of felt it from Atlanta, and I was really hoping to carry that last game out. But that's one of those things you've learned. Like, we're just not there yet, and we got to continue to get to a point where we take that next step and continue to add players and put ourselves in that position. But yeah, I know how much that means to this city, and this team. And we got to take the steps necessary to get that done.
When you say you're not there yet, where are you trying to get to? What is not there at this time that's not there yet?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at really where we started, and it's continuing to add playmakers that can take us to the next level. I know self-reflecting for both of us, like there's places where I want to continue to be better, adding to the roster. There's places where coaches, want to do a better job finishing or putting our guys in a better situation to be successful. So it's really holistic. We're all looking at where we can close the gap on that.
When you look at a quarterback development plan, what gives you your confidence in Matt to oversee a plan and a staff that no matter who's playing quarterback, there will be a developmental plan that takes them to their maximum level?
Yeah, just like I talked about, it starts with the leadership piece. It starts with his knowledge of the game, and then the ability to hire coaches to make sure we have a really good process, and we bring in the right types of people that can put those plans together to help our guys take that next step. And if it's a young quarterback, then that's what it is. If it's to continue to elevate Justin, that's going to be a big part too.
Coach, when you look at the center position, you're probably more comfortable bringing in a rookie if you have a veteran quarterback there. In a season that's so important, you talk about competing for a championship, you hear your GM say that. Could you be comfortable having a rookie center and a rookie quarterback coming here next year?
Yeah, I think you look at the person, right, and then the production, and then his traits, and you make a good decision from there. Looking at all options, it's important. It would be, if that did happen, that would be cool for those guys to grow together. But again, that's one option, and we have several options available to us.
If you have a rookie quarterback, though, would you rather have a veteran center?
Like I said, I don't know the person you're talking about. I haven't met him. You know what I mean? So it's like, obviously, looking for the best option. And it could be that option, or it could be the other option with a veteran.
Ryan,
When you guys evaluated the issues in the passing game this year, how much did you put on Justin's still need for growth, and how much did you place on coaching and not being put in the position to succeed with the scheme?
I can't really give you a percentage, but it's a marriage. Like it works together. So really, I think there's things that both sides can learn to do better to again take it to the next level.
Ryan, in retrospect, how do you feel like the Darnell Wright, Jalen Carter, Dexter Pickens thing kind of played out? With the obvious decision you made. How'd you feel about that? And
Yeah, I feel really good. Darnell did an outstanding job. He continues to work on his technique. I think once he closes that gap, the technique gap and the consistency of using the right techniques versus the right players, there's a Rolodex that you got to build out in terms of the pass rushers that you go against, because they all have different stuff. So once he starts putting that together, you're going to see a really good player. He's out there right now, as a rookie, he was out there just using his natural ability. And in a lot of games that was good enough, but there were some games and some reps where it wasn't good enough, and he's got to continue to get better. And I know he's going to put the time in, but he's made it the right stuff. He's tough, he's strong. Like all of those core pieces are going to allow him to build off of that, and I think be a really good player.
Dexter was what you thought, or as good what you think of his development?
Really good story. I mean, that's a normal rookie season to me. Is a guy who maybe was a little quiet early in the season. He was trying to find his way, learning a different technique than what he had in college. Kept working. His coaches kept working with him. The vets helped him. Billings and those guys, Walker, Justin Jones were impactful with those. This group is so close. Like they were helping each other get better. Whether it was the first team, start, back up, it didn't matter. Like they were spending time with each other to master their craft. And as the season went along, you saw him get better and better. He started to affect the quarterback more. He started to affect the run more. So I really like his growth process and really excited for this whole team. But for those young guys to take the next step next year, they're going to put the work in this summer. and really come back even better than we were this year.
Ryan, I know you said that you're gonna look at all the options as it pertains to the number one pick. Can you say definitively, is number one pick for the right price for sale?
Again, I'm wide open to anything, so if someone wants to call me with an idea, that's fine, I'm open to it.
Are you hoping to follow the same timeline? Cause I know going into the combine last year, it was made known that it would be available if someone wanted to pay for it. Do you hope to have that same timeline by the end of February?
It depends on what factors are in it, but in my mind right now, I'm gonna take this all the way to April.
Ryan, given the two top 10 picks you have, given the cap health that you've built, how do you describe the opportunity that awaits you in the next 4 months to do all the things that you envision doing?
Yeah, you're flexible, and again, just like I talked about with the draft, what's there now may not be there later. So we have a board that we look at, and my guys do a great job setting that up. We got to look into all of the different scenarios that could play out. So really, we're just gonna stay wide open with it. It's just nice to be flexible. So if something pops up that you don't expect, or someone, it just works out the way that you want it to, you at least have the financial stability to execute something and not hurt yourself down the road.
Are you hearing from a lot of front office people about with Ian interviewing? We know he's interviewing in Washington, and I assume other places as well. Are you starting to hear about that from your front office people along with, your draft fortunes?
Yeah, trying to steal my guy. Now I got another one that they're after. There's two things there. One, I'm extremely proud because part of my own deal is I want to produce as many. I'm sure he does with head coaches. I want to produce as many GMs in this league as possible. I think it's a big thing. I'm proud of him, but at the same time, those are big shoes to fill in terms of helping run the front office and get things done and evaluating players. So that's why development is so important to me in terms of our scouting assistants up to our area scouts, make sure they're developed so everyone can just keep taking that step up. But if anyone's listening, Ian's a stud.
Brian, when it comes to the coordinator searches, how will your level of involvement this time around compare to 2 years ago?
Yeah, we're gonna work really closely. I think when you first jump into this, it's the speed is really up to speed, and there's a lot of coaches on flights all over the place. So, and we were both getting in the door. So, I think we'll work hand in hand on this and have some really good conversations, so that we make the best hire possible.
Ryan,
Going back
really
to
just to clarify, when you were talking about the quarterbacks earlier and you said with all four guys, are you referring to the four quarterbacks you're expecting to be guys that have first round grades?
Did I say it?
You said four guys. Did you referring to anybody in specific with that?
No, I didn't think I said four. If I did.
I just didn't know, is that related to people, like guys who have first round grades, or in your mind?
No, there's more than that right now, but
Ryan,
I said that I misspoke.
Ryan, given the shot that you shot with the Montez trade in, I guess late October, early November, when you reflect back on what that did, what are your lasting impressions of that move and then obviously what it did for your team?
Yeah, I sat up here and I talked about, I don't know if it was up here with Jeff, but I talked about being a multiplier. Like, you want to talk about a multiplier on the field, but, again, we were doing exit interviews and talking to our guys throughout the year, like, he helped that entire defense. I think it when you add players like that, all of a sudden, I think you could kind of see everyone had a little bit more swagger to them, and I think it affected the back end. You saw the interceptions go up. You saw us win more games, so really good of the Tez effect there. So really proud of that one, and great human being too.
Ryan, does anybody need surgery this offseason?
Not at this time, no. So that's a huge positive, right? Like when you talk about continuity and bringing people back, they're gonna come back healthy and ready to go.
Ryan, at this point, have you decided whether or not to pick up the fifth year option for Justin?
No, like I said, we got time before we got to do that. So there's a lot of phases there, and again, we'll make the best decision.
Coach, going back to the three technique, you called it the engine of your defense. I know Justin Jones played better once Montez came and Javon came on a little bit late. Do you feel like that dominant player that you need at that position in this defense is you may have to go outside again to find that person either in the draft or free agency?
Yeah, you know, and I told him this all the time, you can never have enough pass rushers and never enough corners, you know, so we're just gonna keep bringing them in, you know, so we have something there available to us. We love our players that are currently on our roster for sure. They've done a really good job. That D-line really played well, this year, for sure, but, we're always looking, you know, to enhance that for sure.
Josh, last one.
Ryan, how did you evaluate Eddie's season and what's his future with the franchise?
Yeah, I know it didn't go exactly the way that he wanted to, you know, just kind of being dinged up a little bit there. But I thought, you know, where his impact is really with Brisker, you know, the communication on the back end. When Eddie was in, you could tell Brisker felt really comfortable. Really that whole group, he really impacts the communication and you could see that.
Thank you. Thanks.